I'm Stella, standing in the living room. The bright California sunlight pierces through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating Daniel and Lily in all their inappropriate glory. Lily is curled up against Daniel on the white sectional couch, wearing nothing but Daniel's unbuttoned shirt, her hair tousled from his hands. The sight makes my blood boil, but I remain calm, lifting my phone and starting to take pictures. The first flash is like a gunshot, startling them both. Lily jerks upright, her eyes wide and panicked. Daniel's head whips around so fast that the couch creaks beneath him. They stare at me in disbelief, as if they can't comprehend what's happening. I press the shutter again and again, each flash a silent judgment, a sentence for their betrayal. Daniel stammers, "Stella, wait. This isn't what it looks like." But I don't listen. I've seen enough. I've known for a while, ever since I accidentally saw the messages on his laptop. Let me take you back to the beginning. I come from a wealthy family. My parents are strict but loving. They instilled in me a sense of responsibility and integrity. I met Daniel at a business event. He was charming, confident, and seemed to have his life together. We fell in love quickly and got married. Our early years were filled with happiness. We bought a beautiful house in Newport Coast, a 2-story Mediterranean-style home with earthy stucco walls and blue shutters that I chose myself. I painted the kitchen, planted the hydrangeas, and arranged the furniture. Every corner of the house held warmth and love. But as time went on, I noticed a change in Daniel. He started coming home late from the office, hiding his texts, and there was a faint sweet scent in the air that wasn't mine. I began to suspect that something was wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. One morning, Daniel came into the kitchen with a glossy brochure and 2 crisp white envelopes. He told me that I had been under a lot of stress and that I deserved a break. He showed me a brochure for a wellness retreat in Azure Cove, promising me 10 days of complete rejuvenation. He even gave me a first-class, non-refundable ticket for the next morning. At first, I was touched, but then I remembered the signs. I remembered the late nights, the hidden texts, and the strange scent. I realized that he wasn't giving me a gift. He was trying to get rid of me. That night, I packed a suitcase, not with the sundresses and swimsuits that he expected, but with dark jeans, a black turtleneck, and running shoes. I knew that I wasn't going to the retreat. I was going to confront the truth. The next morning, Daniel insisted on driving me to the airport. He played our favorite love songs on the playlist, trying to create a romantic farewell. But every lyric felt like a knife in my heart. When we arrived at the airport, he hugged me tightly and kissed my forehead, telling me to call him as soon as I landed. I looked into his eyes, memorizing his face, not for love, but for closure. As soon as he left, I turned my suitcase around and headed back to the house. I called my friend, Emily, who is also my lawyer. She told me to be careful, not to confront them, and to gather as much evidence as possible. I took a lift to the house and walked up to the front door. I could hear music and laughter coming from inside. My heart was pounding, but I took a deep breath and unlocked the door. Inside, the house smelled of eucalyptus candles, but beneath that was the sound of music and the laughter of Daniel and Lily. I stood still in the hallway, listening to their conversation. They were talking about how they were going to have 10 days together, how they could do whatever they wanted. I felt a rage building inside me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I wanted to have proof of their betrayal. Then, I stepped into the living room. The sunlight blinded me for a moment, but I could see Daniel and Lily clearly. They were shocked to see me, and their expressions quickly turned to panic. I started taking pictures, one after another. Daniel tried to stop me, but I didn't let him. I told him that the pictures had already been uploaded to the cloud and that I had backups. I also reminded him of the prenup that we had signed. The prenup stated that the Newport Coast house was my separate property, bought with my inheritance. It also stated that the initial capital used to found Daniel's company came from my trust fund, which meant that the majority of the company legally belonged to me. And there was an infidelity clause that gave me full control of our joint assets. Daniel's face turned pale as he realized the consequences of his actions. He tried to apologize, to make excuses, but I didn't listen. I told him that he had made his choice, and now he had to face the consequences. I gave him and Lily 30 minutes to leave the house before I returned with my lawyer. Then I walked out of the house, leaving them behind. I didn't return to the house that night. I stayed at Emily's place, where I could finally relax and process everything that had happened. Daniel called and texted me nonstop, first with apologies, then with anger and accusations. But I ignored him. A few days later, Emily filed for divorce on my behalf. We had all the evidence we needed, and the case was airtight. The hearing was held in the Orange County Superior Court. Daniel's lawyer tried to spin the story, but the judge saw through his lies. The judge ruled in my favor, awarding me the Newport Coast house, the majority of Daniel's company, and control of our joint assets. Daniel was left with nothing but his personal belongings and a modest financial concession for transition. 2 days after the verdict, Lily packed her bags and left Daniel. He was left alone in an empty apartment, staring at the remnants of a life he once believed he owned. 3 months later, I'm sitting in a cafe in Irvine, sipping tea with Emily. The rain is falling outside, and the air is filled with the smell of cinnamon. Emily looks at me and says, "You seem different today." I stir my tea slowly and say, I'm real, honest. I'm not pretending anymore. Emily nods and asks, "What do you feel?" I search for the right words. It's like something poisonous was inside me for years. I didn't notice it at first. Then it started hurting slowly, quietly, but I kept ignoring it. And then one day, it got so bad, I had to let someone cut it out. The surgery saved me, but the healing hasn't been easy. Emily's expression softens. It wasn't revenge. It was removal. Necessary removal. I rest a hand lightly over my chest. And now that it's gone, I can finally breathe again. Emily smiles. You survived something heavy, and you survived it with more grace than I've ever seen. I smile back, though it's small and tired around the edges. Grace wasn't the goal. It was just the only way I knew how to get through it. After a while, Emily leans back and asks, "So, what happens now?" I reach into my bag and pull out a single folded piece of paper. I unfold it slowly, revealing a plain ticket to Rome. Emily's eyes widen. "Stella, this is one way." I nod, a calm certainty settling across my face. I think it's time to go somewhere I've always wanted, but never allowed myself to be. I've wanted to go to Italy since I was 20. To wander the streets in the early morning, to learn the language, to take cooking classes from old women in small kitchens. To breathe slower. To feel like myself again. No, to feel like myself for the first time. Emily nods. You deserve it. I smile again, my eyes lowered. Daniel always said it was frivolous, a waste of time. He made it sound silly. But now I don't need his permission. I don't need his approval. I don't need anything from him anymore. The truth settles deeply inside me. Solid grounding. I trace one fingertip along the edge of the ticket, feeling the thin paper beneath my touch. Tomorrow, I will board a plane to Rome with a single suitcase, an open heart, and no return date. It is not escape. It is rebirth.